Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Hamilton Khaki Field Murph in 38mm size. MSRP for this watch is $895. I really appreciate that Hamilton made this watch. Originally, it was in the 42mm size, which is a little bit too big for my 6.5-inch wrist for a watch without a rotating bezel. Also, this watch was kindly lent in by Saltzman's Watches. I'll leave a link to their Instagram and their website. Please go check them out. And actually, I purchased this watch from Saltzman, so they sent it in on loan, and I ended up buying it. So yeah, it'll be a keeper for a little while for sure, maybe for a long time. I don't know. Really like this watch. So also, I do have a discount code to Saltzman's for any in-stock Hamilton watch. It's 25% off. So I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll try to pin it in the comments as well. And I talked to them yesterday. They still have a few of these in stock, so get a hold of them if you want one. So this watch has a black dial with beige indices. They call it heritage style, but the indices are printed on there, the Arabics, and then the loom as well is this beige loom, kind of a vintage style loom. And it is Super Luminova. We'll compare the loom to my SKX at the end of the video here. So this watch looks very similar, almost identical to the 42mm version, but again, this is a 38mm watch. And also, if you look at that second hand, you will see there is not Morse code on that second hand, which there is on the 42mm. But actually, this more closely replicates the watch in the movie, because the watch in the movie did not have Morse code on that second hand. So you may have seen the crystal here. It is a domed crystal, and with that dome, you do pick up a lot of the surrounding light source here. And this does have AR coating applied to it. It may not seem like it does, but it does. I've compared this to the, I have a Hamilton Khaki King, and the light is more muted with this style here, with this AR coating. So yes, as I mentioned, the indices are printed on, and so is the text here. Now let's zoom in a little bit more. You see down there at below the 6 o'clock, it says Swiss made. So you do see the hours here, and then also around that chapter ring, you do have the minutes laid out. So nice touch. I really like this cathedral style hands. I think it's very cool. And then you have the tips here of the hands. Someone in the unboxing video pointed out, or maybe it was in the Discord group, that the hour hand seems a little short to them, but I don't think so. I think the hands are a good length, especially with those real fine tips to the hands there. I think it works really well. So let's take a look at the movement here. So this is the Hamilton H10 movement. So with this movement, you get 80 hours of power reserve, and one way they did that is by reducing the beat rate down from 8 beats per second to 6 beats per second. But 80 hours of power reserve is still impressive, even considering that. If you were to look at a Seiko 4R36 movement, you get about 42 hours of power reserve with that same beat rate. And of course, 80 hours is over 3 days of power reserve. So very nice. Movement's not really decorated. Maybe a little bit of graining on the rotor there, but not much decoration other than that. And there's H right there on the balance wheel arm there. Okay, so also on the case back, you can see it says water resistant 10 bars or 145 psi. That is a portion of the model number. The full model number is H70405730. I'll leave a link in the description to the Hamilton website to this particular watch. All right, let's zoom back out here. Look at the case. The case is all brushed. It's all brushed stainless steel, and then the bezel is polished. You do have a push-pull crown, which is fine because I do like to give it a little bit of wind a few times a day. Not terribly active with my desk job, so I do like to wind it up a few times. And this is a signed crown. I do like this logo here on my Khaki King, which I mentioned. It just has a block H. This is more the vintage style H there. Kind of looks like a star, I guess, but that's a cool logo. But anyway, here's a closer look at the case. Again, all brushed stainless steel, and then the bezel is polished. Since we're here, let's take a look at the strap. This is calf or cow leather strap, which is grained to look like an alligator. So it's imitation alligator strap. Still a little bit stiff. I don't know how soft these will get. I'm more of a bracelet guy. I almost always wear a watch on a bracelet. But this watch here, I'm planning on trying out with a bunch of different straps. So I'll try and release a video here soon with that. The strap show for this, I should say. But I really wanted to give it a shake here on the factory strap. And right there, it must be the one that I've been wearing it on. The buckle, I think it looks a little bit too modern for this watch, but I have not had any issues with it. Milled buckle and milled tang there. And you can see a signed Hamilton. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it does have 100 meters of water resistance with this push-pull crown, and there's no date, which is another big plus in my mind. I really appreciate time-only watches. So pull the crown out, one position here. There we go. Just struggling with it a little bit. Don't have my trim my nails. So anyway, there we go. First click out, we are in time setting position. And that's it. Wind it, pull it out to set it. How much simpler could it be, really? Okay, let's zoom back out here and we'll talk about the dimensions. I zoomed the wrong way. There we go. So it wears nice, really nice on my wrist. Lug to lug, 44.6 millimeter. Case diameter, as you would imagine, 38 millimeter. 11.3 thick, so maybe a little thicker than I would like, but it's totally wearable like this. And some of that is attributed to that domed crown, domed crystal. 20 millimeter lug width, and it does taper down to 18 millimeter. It is a black dial and a black strap. I think I really want to try it on some vintage brown straps, vintage looking brown straps, I should say. I have a mess of straps in my strap collection. 6.5 millimeter crown. I think the crown is very well sized. One complaint is perhaps that it does stick out a little bit far, but it's super easy to grab it and to wind it. And the weight of this watch, as you see here with the factory strap, is 66 grams. So very nice, lightweight, and wears quite well on wrist. So let me put it on my wrist, and then we'll check out the lume here. Actually, you know what? Let me show it to you next to my SKX 42 millimeter watch here. But again, since this more of the dial is present on this watch, it doesn't look terribly small compared to a 42 millimeter dive watch. I have an aftermarket sapphire crystal in this watch here. I don't know if I have something else to, let's see, compare it to my Seiko Field watch here. Try and get a sense of the domed crystal and the anti-reflective coating. It's not exactly the same kind of domed crystal, so that's not telling you much. I believe this is a 40 millimeter watch. So anyway, let's get the Murph on wrist. Then we'll check out the lume. I have been really enjoying this watch, and like I mentioned, I purchased it, so I've really liked this watch. strap has broken in a little bit here. So there we go on my 6.5-inch wrist with a 52mm wristband. And again, lug to lug on this is just below 45. It's 44.6 precisely. Plenty of room left on this strap. Could probably go up to maybe 8 inches if I had to guess. 7.5 easily. I'm down to the third tightest hole position, so we could probably go down to a 6-inch wrist, so maybe 6 to 8. But it works well on my 6.5-inch wrist. Let me zoom back out here. Get a little bit different sense of the proportions here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. So even though you can see the light shining on here, you can still see the time pretty well. The other Hamilton I have, you really can't make out the time as well on that one with some light glaring on the crystal. All right, let's take a look at the loom. We'll compare it to my SKX. All right, so the Hamilton Murph is on the left, of course, and the SKX is on the right. I would say the handset on the Murph is just as bright as the handset on the SKX. Can't make out the second hand because there's no loom on the second hand, which is fine. Arabics are they're bright enough, not quite as bright as what it looks like on camera, but I can definitely make out the time with this watch in the dark here. So I think the loom is done well enough on the Murph. Not quite to the diver standards on the right, but done well enough. That will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.